Yo, what is good, YouTube? In today's video, I'm giving you guys my new top 5 meta loadouts here after today's update. If you enjoyed the video, let's break 200 likes, subscribe with notifications turned on, and let's get into it. All right, so our first gun here today is going to be the Model L. This actually got a buff today a little bit in its overall damage output. In terms of the leg modifier, got upped a little bit. So for any guys that are hitting some of those leg shots, it will indeed be better. This is going to be that BO6 pre-order camo on this. I don't think you can do the glitch anymore, the camo swap glitch. So if there's something new that comes out, I will show you guys how to do it. But first thing in here, optic section, we're going to go in and we're going to throw on pretty much an optic of our choice. I'll show you guys a few optics you can use. First one being the Kepler Microflex. This is a really solid red dot sight. If you guys feel comfortable using a red dot, this will be really good. So I'd recommend for you guys to use that. Also, the Q spot reflex is really solid for a red dot sight, so you guys can definitely go for that as well. Going on down here, one of my favorite ones to use is the Kepler red dot. I really like using this and going for more of the reticle change. I'll change it over to like one of the crosses or something like that. I think it works out really nicely, being a 1.25 times magnification. It is pretty solid. My new favorite one down here though is going to be the Jason Armory 2X, and then the max you can use really is the Willis 3 times. I really enjoy the Jason Armory specifically because I do play Resurgence, and I feel like the Jason Armory is really all I need for playing on Area 99, Rebirth Island, of course. So that's really all I need. But pretty much any and all these options that I've showed you guys will be good for whatever you want to run on this build. It does come down to personal preference in the optic section. I know people have their different, things they like, but for me, the Jason Armory is what I'm going to go with. That's that in the muzzle section. We're going to throw on the compensator here for that vertical recoil control. You guys definitely need to have this on there. There's like kind of no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You need to have the compensator. That's that barrel section. We go down here and we're going to throw on the gain twist barrel. So I'll show you guys this if it actually kind of wants to work with me here. I'll select it and go back in here. But basically we have their damage at effective range is 62.2 meters, which is pretty absurd. I'm not going to lie, for not having to have a barrel on there that increase the damage range. And also you can see our bullet velocity is at 1189 meters per second, which is unbelievable. That's at the very top end of what you want for an assault rifle, or that's like pretty much the top end of what you're going to be able to get to. So overall, the gain twist is going to be better than something like the reinforced, which will definitely still be good and push you out to over 1,000 meters in bullet velocity, but the gain twist will be the best option in here. And I'd say this is pretty much what you guys should be running exclusively. At the underbarrel section, you go down here and throw on the vertical foregrip. This is just kind of is what it is. We don't need to have anything else on here. I mean, none of these other ones are going to be of benefit, much like the vertical will help us out the absolute most with our horizontal recoil control. And lastly, in the magazine section, we'll throw on extended mag 2, which gives us 50 rounds in the mag, the maximum we can possibly get. I don't recommend going for extended mag 1. This is your primary long range assault rifle. You need to have the max amount of ammo in the mag possible, especially if you're playing, big map BR, or even if you're playing Resurgence, you should have this on there. So this is going to be my full build for the Model L. Next up is one of the best SMGs to use right now. That's going to be the KSV. This also got a buff today, which is pretty nice. A little bit in the damage category, helping us out be a little bit more effective at range. So you guys hear the best possible setup for it. We're actually going to skip the optic in the muzzle section. We don't really need that. We're going to go straight to the barrel. And what we're going to do is we're going to go throw on the long barrel to increase our overall damage range as much as possible. This gets us out to 19.6 meters, which is really solid. The overall bullet velocity is perfectly fine as is, because the range in which we are using this is going to be relatively hit scan, so we don't need to think about it too much. I mean, if obviously the bullet velocity was like, piss poor slow, like 300-400, then that'd be something to worry about, but we're almost at 600 here, which is perfectly fine for the ranges we're going to be using at. So the long barrel is going to be your best option. Underbarrel section, we're not using that vertical foregrip. This is something that is on the ground loot version of the KSV, and it makes it very easy to use. But overall, the better version, or the better thing you should be using, is the Ranger foregrip, because it does help you that horizontal, but it also gives you sprinting movement speed. This will ultimately be the best thing for you guys to use on this gun. I don't really want to, use the vertical. I don't think it's going to be that necessary. This gun doesn't have much recoil to begin with, but if you feel like you struggle with the recoil control at all, go for the vertical and you'll be perfectly okay. Magazine section, we're going to go down here and throw an extended mag 2. This just helps us get more rounds in the mag, obviously at very little, detriment to our overall mobility. It says it affects you a little bit, but overall, I believe the trade-off is entirely worth it on this gun. Definitely want to have the 50 rounds in the mag. Rear grip section, we're gonna go down here and throw on the ergonomic grip. So this right here, this gives us slide to fire, dive to fire, and ADS speed, which are 3 huge things that we need on these BO6 SMGs. So you can see slide to fire is that statistic where obviously you're sliding around and you have like, you're gonna bring your gun up. If you have a piss poor slide to fire, because obviously omni movement is such a big thing, you're really going to be caught at a disadvantage. I mean, people may think, oh, I want to go for the commando because it's ADS and sprint to fire. Okay, well, I mean, if you're never sliding around, maybe that's a good option. But for anyone that's going to try to be able to move around and utilize any of the omni movement, you should be running the ergonomic grip, because this does still give you ADS speed. It helps you get your gun up faster, which hugely beneficial. Stock section for our last attachment, we're going to have one of 2 options. First one being the infiltrator stock. That's going to give us that aim walking movement speed, a really great option. I think this is probably the better of the 2 for most people. And then the other one's going to be the balance stock, which will give you quite a few benefits here of strafing movement speed, hip fire movement speed, and aim walking movement speed. But of course, the aim walking, you get more of it using the infiltrator stock. So it's up to you guys which one to run here. I think I'm gonna go for the infiltrator stock, and this right here will be your full KSV build. Next up, I'm gonna give you guys a build here for the AMES 85. This thing is really good. However you want to pronounce the name of the gun, it doesn't really matter, but this thing right here is really solid, pretty much like your number 1, number 2 AR, and I'll give you guys the best build. First thing, optics section, I'm gonna use the same exact thing I did on the Model L, which is the Jason Armory. I'm not gonna reiterate how all the different optics you can use, considering I've already explained it, but overall this is my favorite way to run it right now. I thought this was absolutely just like a banger sight to use, and I really enjoyed it. If you guys watched my AMES video, I was having a blast using it like this. Muzzle section, we go here, throw in the compensator as per usual, helps us the most with that vertical recoil control. It does wonders. You definitely still need to have some recoil control on this thing, because it's not like a certified laser beam, like it won't move at all, but this will help keep it as manageable as possible. Barrel section, we're gonna go down in here. We're actually gonna use the gain twist barrel, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this. It actually wants to work with us this time without having to select it, but the gain twist barrel, you still have your damage at effective range at 50.8 meters, which is obviously less than the Model L, but your bullet velocity is still really solid at almost 1100 meters per second, which is really good, and the fire rate is unbelievably fast, so it does kind of make up for that difference or that discrepancy between the Model L and this. So obviously different strokes for different folks. Model L hits maybe a little bit harder for some people versus this hits a little bit harder. It just depends on your play style and your preference, but overall, the gain twist barrel is still going to be the move on this gun. On the barrel section, you're going to throw in the vertical foregrip here as per usual. Gives us the nice little 3 green arrows for that horizontal recoil control, which is exactly what we want. And lastly, in the magazine section, of course, the extended mag 2, getting us 60 rounds in the mag. I'm a 60 round mag kind of guy, so I like having 60 in the mag. So this is my full build right here for the AMES 85. Next up, something you can really pair quite nicely with the AMES or the Model L, the C9, pretty much like your number 1, number 2 SMG to use. This is really good. So this is going to be something where we can kind of mess with the build here a little bit. We can go for a muzzle or not go for a muzzle. I'll show you guys ways to run it with one or without. But first thing, in the barrel section, we're gonna either go for the long barrel or the reinforced barrel. So it kind of depends on what you're feeling. Honestly, I've been really liking the reinforced barrel. I don't know what it is. It just feels like it hits a little bit harder than the long barrel. I can't explain it too much why, but statistically speaking, you've got better range, 17 meters of range with a long barrel, and your bullet velocity is still perfectly fine, but the reinforced barrel just seems like my shots were hitting harder, and even though it's relatively hit scan at the range I'm using, it just felt like it was more effective. So I've been going for the reinforced barrel, but kind of experiment and see what works best for you guys. It's not like there's something where you're gonna be at a severe disadvantage, using one or the other. It's kind of up to you. On the barrel section, we're going to go through on that Ranger foregrip here as per usual, horizontal and vertical, horizontal recoil control and sprinting movement speed, really great stuff. Magazine, I've actually ran both of these, so extended mag 1 and extended mag 2. You will notice if you're, an avid extended mag 1 user on the C9, you will notice obviously that you're slower using extended mag 2. It is a noticeable difference. It's not like super detrimental, but overall, I think for the majority of people out there, extended mag 2 is going to be the move, and it's going to work out better for you guys. So probably just go for extended mag 2. And if you're playing something like solos, you can get away with running extended mag 1. I've even ran this in like quads, so it works out fine. So just go for extended mag 2 though, as per my recommendation to someone that plays this game and has like a 6-7 KD. Rear grip section, we go down here and throw on the ergonomic grip. This is pretty standard. We ran this on the KSV, and we're going to be running it here once again. Definitely what I recommend for you guys to go ahead and run. Lastly, in the stock section, two options in here, much like the KSV, the infiltrator stock, which is going to give us that aim locking movement speed, which I quite like, and also the balanced stock. I think on this gun in particular, though, unlike the KSV, I prefer the balanced stock on the C9. This just feels a little bit better to me overall, and I felt like my gameplay just, you know, reflected that. I just felt more confident in my play with this gun, just having that extra bit of movement, the movement speed, hip fire movement speed, all that sort of stuff, and the strafing movement speed. I just felt a little bit better. I was able to outplay people more easily, so I like that. And if you guys, like I said, want to run a muzzle, take off the stock and go in here and go ahead and run a compensator, and that'll be basically your other option and way to run this gun. And finally, for our last gun here today, I want to give you guys a sniper build with one of the most effective snipers, the Kar98K. Technically, it's a marksman rifle, but I'm calling it a sniper rifle. It's like relatively the same thing in Call of Duty terms. I know people get at me for the real life stuff. I mean, this is not real life. So we're gonna go down here. First thing is gonna be, of course, an optic. So we're gonna go all the way down to the very bottom. That's gonna be the range collar V3.4. This is a really solid sight, 7 times magnification. This is the OG Kar98K sight. If you go up in here, we might have to find it a little bit considering they messed up everything, but basically we're gonna be looking for the SPX 6.6 times, which is gonna be somewhere up in here. Oh, there it is. It's number 23 out of 66. So the SPX is a really good sight, and also, of course, the range collar V3.4. Up to you guys of what you want to run. Both of them are going to be great. Little less magnification on the first zoom, which can work out maybe a little bit better for resurgence style play, or if you want something where you don't have to worry about zooming in at all, then the range collar will be that option for you. Next up, muzzle section, we're going to go down to here, and we have to kind of scroll down just a little bit to get to some of the different silencers or suppressors, and we're going to throw on the sonic suppressor, but keep in mind the sonic suppressor, the Colossus, the VT7, pretty much all these down here, they kind of dumbed them down. You can see the stats don't really change next to me, or like the pros don't. They pretty much dumbed them down so they all do the same thing. So if you want a visual look of the sonic suppressor or a visual look of the VT7, I know it's a little bit different, but it's not going to have any sort of in-game, you know, statistic advantage using one or the other. It's going to be a visual difference at maximum. So we're just going to go through on the sonic suppressor and pretty much call it a day, since that's what we ran back when the Kar98K and it was, you know, the top meta in MW3 Warzone. So we're just going to go for that since it's pretty simple. Barrel section, of course, we got to go through on the longest barrel in here. This is actually going to push you out to the maximum range you can get with a barrel. Of course, we're going to make this better. Currently, our one-shot range, one-shot headshot distance is at 58.4 meters. This is definitely, like, you know, obviously not that great, so we're going to extend it out more, but this is the barrel you have to run. Like, you have to run a barrel on this thing. If you're not doing it, you're doing it wrong. After that, we're going to go back in here, and we're going to go throw on pretty much really whatever else we want, but you can throw on like an underbarrel if you want to make yourself faster, which first one being in here, the XRK Edge. This, if you even go down here a little bit more so, like, I mean, we have to go down and find them just because they messed up all these attachments. It's super annoying. But you can go down here, throw on the DR6, wherever the FTAC MSP is, or it's right actually above it. Pretty much the FTAC MSP, the DR6, and the XRK Edge are all going to do the same exact thing. There's no benefit. It's, once again, they made the attachments and they took the differences from them, and they're just like, nah, scrap it. They're all going to do the same thing. So we have this on here for that. And then lastly, in the ammunition side of things, for our final attachment, we have to go in here, and we're not going to throw on the high velocity rounds. You don't want to confuse with that. You have to go throw on the high grain rounds, because this gives you the maximum increase to your bullet velocity and your damage range. Keep in mind, we had 58 meters beforehand. Now we're up to 67.1 meters. So almost 70 meters of effective range. It says it messes with your recoil. Who cares about that? It's a bolt action sniper rifle. We don't care. I mean, we're trying to be aggressive and get those one-shot kills, and this is going to help us with that. So that right there, that's going to be my full build on the sniper. That's my top 5. If you guys enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe, check out this other video on screen, and I'll see you all next time.